Without warning anyone and catching everybody off guard, James Gunn has just announced a sequel to Superman. That's right, Superman 2. Well, technically it has another title, which we'll get into in a moment, along with its release date. This shakes up the DC schedule we thought we knew, because the whole lineup of movies have been announced alongside Superman, yet this sequel is now slated to release ahead of all of them. How? What's going on? We need to break this down. So, let's start from the top. Roughly 20 minutes ago, just enough time for me to pull things together and do some quick digging for this video. James Gunn posted new Superman art on his Instagram. It's art of his Superman, the version we just saw in the DCU. And look closely, it's David Corenswet's Superman and Lex Luthor in full battle armor. If Superman's getting a second round, Lex is clearly gearing up too. The art is credited to Jim Lee, dated 2025. Gunn revealed that the film, titled Man of Tomorrow, will hit theaters July 9, 2027. So not next year, not even the year after. 2 years out, we're getting the Superman sequel. Now the title could still change. Remember, the first film was originally announced as Superman Legacy before being shortened to simply Superman. Personally, I don't think Gunn will change Man of Tomorrow, though there's precedent. DC has used Superman of Tomorrow for comic arcs and even an animated feature. Supergirl's movie was once going to be called Woman of Tomorrow before they simplified it to just Supergirl. So there's history of tweaking titles, but my guess is they'll keep this one. Here's why this announcement scrambles things. When Gunn first unveiled his DC slate, he told the press about 10 projects, films, shows, and even some animated work. Since then, a few more have surfaced that weren't on that original list, like the live-action Titans film in development and an animated Batman project featuring Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. Some announced titles have stalled. The Authority series is on hold. Swamp Thing hasn't moved forward. Others are actively in production. Clayface is shooting right now in Liverpool. And then there's Batman, the Brave and the Bold, announced alongside Superman. There's been no solid movement there, no confirmed writer, no production timeline, nothing concrete. So far, the only DCU projects truly moving are the Supergirl movie, already wrapped, featuring Jason Momoa as Lobo, the Lantern series filmed, and Clayface in production. Yet Gunn just jumped ahead of all of them by locking in a date for Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Will Gunn also write and direct this one? Probably. Back when Superman premiered, he said he was already working on another DC project, likely this exact sequel. He described it then as continuing the story of the Super family. That lines up perfectly with today's reveal. And honestly, this reminds me a lot of early MCU strategy. Think back to 2008-2010. Marvel launched with Iron Man, but before they rolled out Thor, Captain America, or Avengers, they doubled down with Iron Man 2 to cement that foundation. Let's talk about why DC is prioritizing this film now, both Gunn and the Warner Brothers Discovery brass. First and foremost, Superman delivered results. From day one, the studio's internal benchmark was around $500 million worldwide. They even lowered expectations slightly, acknowledging how superhero box office has cooled globally. China, once a huge market, is no longer as accessible thanks to trade restrictions and the rise of local film industries. But domestically, Superman crossed $300 million in the US alone. Strong, consistent performance, making it one of Warner's top domestic earners in years. That kind of success ripples outward. Merchandise sales spike, brand confidence grows, the DC logo starts to feel trustworthy again. No, it wasn't a billion-dollar smash like The Dark Knight or Aquaman in its heyday, but it was solid, better than the studio dared hope. Crucially, it proved Gunn's new DCU could work, so the logic is simple. Strike while the audience is engaged. Don't wait 5 years. Build on the momentum. Man of Tomorrow will likely broaden the DCU in the way Iron Man 2 seeded S.H.I.E.L.D., Black Widow, and the Avengers Initiative. Superman itself already teased expansion, the Peacemaker cameo, hints towards Supergirl, and post-credit setups connecting. Threads across upcoming projects. This sequel can push even further, weaving more of the larger DCU directly into Clark Kent's journey. Remember, Gunn's entire 10-project plan was effectively soft greenlit. but everything hinged on Superman proving the DC brand wasn't broken. If Superman had flopped like The Flash and 2023 was rough with all 4 DC films bombing, that whole slate could have been scrapped. But the November 2022 leadership change, Gunn and Peter Safran's reorganization, and Superman's performance together created a new foundation Warner hasn't had in years. Now they can invest confidently. Expect Man of Tomorrow to be bigger. The first film established Lex Luthor's animosity, the next can pay it off in a full-scale clash. The teaser art literally shows Lex in his armored warsuit, standing toe-to-toe with Superman. Warner will almost certainly boost the budget. Connected titles like Batman, The Brave and the Bold, and Wonder Woman, which Gunn says has an active script in development, will benefit from the sequel's success too. Story-wise, what should we expect? Let's unpack the title's history. DC has used Man of Tomorrow multiple times. After Crisis on Infinite Earths 1986, Alan Moore penned Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, a semi-finale for the Silver Age Superman. From 1995-1999, DC ran Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, a series featuring villains like Metallo, Brainiac, and of course Lex Luthor. There's also the animated Superman Man of Tomorrow, 2020, which kicked off DC's so-called Tomorrowverse. That animated film focuses on Clark's early days, pitting him against Lobo and Parasite. It's solid, even if the shared universe movies that followed were a mess. But Gunn's live-action Clark has already been Superman for 3 years, so a strict origin retread wouldn't fit. Instead, they might borrow elements, say Lobo arriving to hunt Superman, or Parasite being unleashed, perhaps by LexCorp experiments. The first film teased Jor-El and Lara's warnings about Krypton and the idea that Clark might conquer Earth rather than save it. A sequel can dig deeper into Kryptonian legacy, cosmic politics, and how Clark truly defines his identity as Earth's champion. Supergirl's movie reportedly features Lobo and explores Kryptonian survivors in space. It's easy to imagine Man of Tomorrow tying directly into its post-credit scene, bridging the cosmic and Earth-based storylines. Lex escaping prison? Practically guaranteed. Will he ally with or oppose Clark? That concept art places them side by side, which raises questions. Perhaps circumstances force an uneasy truce against a bigger threat. Perhaps Parasite or even Brainiac emerges, compelling Lex to save humanity on his terms. Either way, Man of Tomorrow should expand beyond Metropolis, moving Clark toward his role as the DCU's cornerstone. Handled well, this sequel could do what Man of Steel never got the chance to: firmly establish a Superman-led universe. From there, Warner can organically roll out Batman, The Brave and the Bold, a new Wonder Woman, Lantern Corps appearances, and Justice League groundwork. Maybe Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, stars of the Lantern series, pop in. Maybe other heroes cameo, laying the path toward an eventual team-up. So why prioritize this sequel ahead of everything else? Because it's the clearest win Gunn has, and success breeds confidence. Grow what's working, expand from a strong core, and the rest of the DCU has a real shot. Personally, I think it's a smart move. What about you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you rather DC push ahead with Batman and Wonder Woman first, or double down on Clark Kent now? Share this with your friends so they can weigh in too. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss future updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.